Welcome to Tea Time with the Inclusion Team, where the coffee is strong, the tea is piping hot, and the support for students is even stronger. We're three teachers who live and breathe inclusion. We are here to share our stories and brew up helpful tips to help make every classroom a place where all students can thrive. I'm Ewing, joined as always by your favorite inclusion team members, Abby and Ferris.
From behaviors to academics, from accommodations to the teachers that say, what do I even do with this IEP? We've got you. On today's episode, we're spilling the tea on the referral and evaluation process. I'm Abby, and today's topic is piping hot. Let's sip, learn, and include together.
So whether you're new to teaching or a seasoned pro, this is one episode on the menu that every educator needs to order. This is Ferris, and thanks for returning to the podcast where three educators join forces to stir up practical strategies, decode special education, and try to provide you with a menu of knowledge that you can utilize daily.
First up, you're listening to our special brew segment, One Strategy, Zero Fluff. Let's brew this.
All right, educators, grab your mugs. This month's special brew segment is all about choice boards, a strategy that gives students options without lowering expectations. Because who doesn't love a menu, especially when it's not cafeteria pizza?
Hey, I like cafeteria pizza.
Oh, believe me, I know. So choice boards are a differentiated learning tool where students select from a set of task options that all align to the same learning target. They build students' autonomy, built-in differentiation, and the teacher stays in control of the standard and the rigor.
So teachers can think of it like you choose how you show what you know.
Exactly. And choice board supports different learning styles, varied expressive modes, executive functioning needs. It gives learners structures and flexibility, and it supports behavior and motivation, and it gives learners more buy-in.
Choice boards can support both struggling learners and advanced learners. It provides struggling learners with an option for an entry point to the content and provides advanced learners with an option for a challenge. Shout out to our amazing Accelerate coaches who recently sent out choice boards that can be used for a challenge.
So, if you're trying to create these in your own classroom, we have a few tips for you. First, you're going to start small. Maybe give students only 3 choices at first. Then we're going to keep the directions consistent across the task. Then we're going to limit tons of prep tasks. This makes it easier on you. Then we'll rotate repeating choice types so students know the format. Then we're going to collect data by tracking which choices students pick and how they perform. And last, we'll add one strength challenge option for enrichment.
And finally, if you utilize this strategy in your classroom, send us a picture. We'd love to give you a shout out or share your idea.
Time for FAQ Blend of the Month, where we take your most asked questions and mix them into the perfect cup of clarity. No jargon, no judgment, just real talk and practical answers. Today we are going to combine this segment with a few of our other regular segments, like our freshly brewed facts section and steeped in support segment, because this section answers your questions, gives you legal facts, and provides support. This month we've had countless questions about the referral process. So if you've ever felt like the special education referral process is as complicated as ordering coffee for the whole staff, well, we've all been there.
Since we are combining segments, let me just go ahead with everyone's favorite intro. It's time for a brew break. Sorry, I just had to get that out of my system. But really, from the first, something's not clicking to evaluations and eligibility, we'll walk you through each step one at a time so you can feel confident supporting every learner who needs a little extra care.
Let's start from the very beginning. A concern is noticed and the brewing begins. It starts when someone, a teacher, parent, administrator, or interventionist, notice something isn't brewing quite right. Maybe reading is a struggle, attention is all over the place, or their calculation of math just isn't calculating. And the big key here, data. Data, should I say it again? Collect those work samples. Document all those interventions attempted, write down what works and what doesn't, and progress monitor like a barista tracking every single bean in the coffee shop. It's very important to remember that just because there is a concern, it doesn't automatically mean special education.
Before we ever talk referrals, we try tiered interventions in general education. Small group support, documentation, tracking of progress, reteaching, the whole latte of strategies. It's basically like trying different milks before committing. Oat milk, almond milk, intervention milk.
If the data shows the student still isn't responding, the team may request an evaluation. So many times we can try a whole menu of strategies or interventions, and that one student's progress, well, it just isn't budging. When that happens, a referral is usually pushed through. When a referral is initially made, the special education department or a special education teacher has to make contact with the parent within 7 days from the referral date. Most of the time, that contact comes from CO in the form of a notice of conference. We have to give parents both a 14-day notice of conference and a 7-day notice of conference. When referrals are made, we have to hold the conference within 21 days of that referral. At the referral conference, the committee comes together to determine if a student would benefit from a comprehensive evaluation or testing to see if a student would qualify under one of IDEA's 13 disability categories. Again, just because a referral is made and a referral conference is scheduled, it does not always mean that we decide the student needs to be tested or that the student is going to qualify for anything. It certainly does not mean that the student will qualify for special education services or a disability. However, if a student qualifies under one of the 13 eligibility categories, they might be eligible for special education services. One huge part of this conference is the discussion on if a student has passed a hearing or vision screener this year. If a student has not passed the hearing screener or vision screener that the nurse gives, we cannot get consent for testing. This is even if the committee all believes testing would be beneficial.
So, what I hear you saying is no pass on a screener, no testing. We can have all the conversations you want to about how the student would really benefit from having a comprehensive evaluation, but if they can't see or they can't hear, we aren't testing. Ewing, at the referral conference, what happens if the committee determines that the student would benefit from a comprehensive evaluation?
When the committee looks at the data in the referral conference, many times we decide to proceed with testing. If this happens, the parent ultimately has full control over this process. You can think of parents as our VIP customers at the table. Without their written consent, nothing moves forward. If a parent doesn't agree that testing is needed, we can't get testing. Parents have to give written consent before anything can move forward. Once written consent is obtained, all testing must be completed 60 days from the consent date. That's 60 whole calendar days of an evaluation timeline. So it's a lengthy process. Basically, no iced coffee waiting an hour vibes here.
So, what's happening during those 60 days, you ask? A whole lot. The comprehensive evaluation is just that, comprehensive. Sometimes this is also referred to as a full evaluation. Every area is reviewed, assessed, or looked at in order to determine if there is a suspected disability. Under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, a comprehensive evaluation means that a student is evaluated in all areas of suspected disability and any other areas that might be impacted, not just the obvious ones. It's not a single test, and it usually takes the entire timeline to complete.
Like Abby said, a comprehensive evaluation should cover all areas related to the suspected disability. This could include academic, cognitive, communication, social, emotional, motor, adaptive behavior, and health, vision, and hearing. There are a variety of assessments and strategies used throughout the evaluation process. This could include subject area observations, classroom-based assessments, IQ testing, achievement testing, adaptive behavior rating skills, and gathering information about the student's home life and health history. One important part of the evaluation, and that is it must be non-discriminatory. It has to be culturally and linguistically appropriate. This throws out any bias and allows the results to reflect the student's actual abilities and needs.
There's a few things that help us be proactive in this process. When a student is in the evaluation process, teachers are sent an adaptive behavior rating scale. This has to be completed during the evaluation process. It is often sent to teachers digitally. It is very important that when it is completed, you, as the teacher, complete it based on a student in comparison to another general education student in a classroom. For example, if one of the questions asks if a student can tell you their first and last name along with their full address, think to yourself before answering that question. Don't initially check no. If you teach first graders, how do most of your general education students state their first and last name along with their full address? If the students in evaluation does this in the same way that most general education students within your classroom do, then your answer might not be a full no. Also, we are required to complete student observations in multiple subject areas during the evaluation process. These observations have to be a minimum of 30 minutes and have to be language arts, reading, and math. When we ask to observe a student, we are not observing you as a teacher. Please allow us to complete these observations and check them off of our list. Many times we are trying to squeeze these in between classes. Telling us no or asking us to reschedule typically has a domino effect for other students and teachers for the remainder of our day.
Once the evaluation timeline is up and the assessments are all completed, we have 30 days to hold an evaluation programming conference. This is the conference where we discuss eligibility and can be one of the most important and collaborative steps in the special education process. The entire committee has an important role at this conference, but again, the parent is a vital part of this team. This conference is the official meeting where the evaluation results are reviewed. The team determines if a student meets the criteria for one of the 13 IDEA disability categories and where the committee determines if the disability affects their ability to access the general education curriculum. In short, we determine if a student qualifies under an eligibility category, if a student is in need of special education services, and what specific supports that student needs. Keep in mind that in order to qualify for services, the student must have a disability, but that disability must also adversely affect their educational process.
So to recap, there are a few big things that teachers need to know about the referral and evaluation process.
First of all, it starts with data. It's not just a gut feeling. You might feel that a student is struggling, but referrals can't be based on hunches alone.
Interventions always come first. Before making a referral, teams need to show that the student received targeted support and intensive interventions. When students are still not making progress despite those interventions, then let's talk.
Let's also remember that parents are partners, not passengers. A referral can't move forward without a parent input and consent. Don't forget about that hearing and vision screener too.
Evaluations must be comprehensive and free from discrimination. Evaluations must look at all areas of a suspected disability, not just academics. The goal is to figure out why the student is struggling and what supports are needed. The goal is not just to receive a label.
The teacher's input is essential. You know the student best. Your feedback in all conferences shapes the eligibility decisions and IEP goals. It's a team process, not a solo act.
Next, remember that eligibility doesn't mean automatic services. Two things must be true. A student must have a disability, and that disability must adversely affect their educational performance.
Documentation protects everyone. Good documentation supports the student's needs and helps the team make defensible decisions.
Finally, the goal isn't just identification, it's support. Remember, the referral process isn't about getting kids into special ed. It's about getting the right support for learning success, and there's a lot of options for that.
Whew, we've brewed up a lot today.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Whether you're sipping coffee, tea, or surviving on cold brew, just remember, inclusion happens one intentional choice at a time. So refill that cup, reheat that lesson plan, and we'll meet you right back here next time on Tea Time with the Inclusion Team.